personal details. So the reason I don't ask for your personal email account here is because we don't want to share your personal email account with anyone else. However, in the chat, if you did want to share your personal email address with me, you can in the chat change it over to directly to go to me, which means it will go to me and nobody else. Okay? If you wanted to send your personal email address or phone number to somebody else, that's the way you do it in the classroom. So you make sure you've got the right person selected, and then you pop in the details that you want to give. Now, the reason that we don't share is because there is a privacy agreement and there's privacy laws. Now, there's a new international law that came in last year that companies can be fined up to $450,000 for sharing information without people's permission. So it's very important that we understand that. Okay, did anybody struggle? If you did, just check your emails, and when you're looking at your emails, it should have your email address there. So that's really important, because if I said to you, all right, I want you all to pop your email in there because I want to send you some information, you need to know what your email address is off the top of your head. So number one was what? Who'd like to jump in? Bradley?
Username.
Beautiful. Number two?
Email address.
Email address.
Excellent. Number three?
Password.
Password. Number four, passcode.
Password and passcode. Now, I'm actually going to change my screen here and I'll show you something that we use as an example. It's probably easier than explaining it. What I'm going to do is jump through to some live site. What does that mean?
She's real.
Yeah, real time. So I'm going to swap now from here and go over to the internet, and I'll share my screen. And let me know what you can see when it comes in. So we'll just wait for it to load. Loading,
Google.
loading, loading. Where are we at?
Google.
Google. So thumbs up if you're all at Google. Can you all see Google there? Brilliant.
Okay.
Okay, I love live training a lot more than doing PowerPoint presentations. Now, the reason being is normally when we're training, we will be as up to date to the minute as possible. So we're still researching prior to making sure that everything is as current as possible. Now on here, does anybody do internet banking? On your phone?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to St. George. So we'll just choose St. George as a bank. And can everybody see that coming in there?
Yep.
Cool. Thumbs up if you can. Excellent. Good job. And what we've got here is the internet banking and the log on. Everybody mute yourself if you wouldn't mind. Okay, from there, go to internet banking. And then I'm going to go to log on, and any bank account that you have, if you're doing internet banking or anything online, will have these as options. Okay, straight off, what can you see from here? So it's just taking a moment to load. Okay, Adam. Adam, if you unmute yourself again, what have we got?
The little hand is on internet banking.
Right, and what's this here?
What do you mean?
Where it's got card access number. See how it's flashing away there?
It's frozen at the moment.
No,
It's frozen.
Can't see anything.
You can't see anything.
Nope.
Okay, well that's interesting. Just let me have a look at what's going on here. Okay, just give me, yeah, it's just 2 seconds. Thank you for letting me know. Can you see it now?
No.
Stop the share and restart it, Tricia, I reckon.
Yeah, okay. It's probably better to do that. It just can be the internet. I'll just give that 2 seconds. Stop that share, and then I'll go back and do it again. We'll try it one more time. If it doesn't work, I'll just explain it. And then when you're looking at this, we can have these little technical issues with the internet, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm sharing the screen now. Can anybody tell me what's come up? Is it still not there, Brad?
No, it's
It's there.
Mine's coming up. Internet banking log on.
Right, okay. So the first option that it's got there is card access number. Can you see that?
Yeah.
What is that in plain old ordinary English? So if we
That'll
go
be-
back to number one, what is it? Number one's what?
Your username.
Right, if you have a Medicare number, what's that?
The long number that's on the front of the card.
Okay, it's your username. So on your card, on any bank card, your username is the card number. If we look at the security number there, that is your PIN number or your passcode. So it's important that you understand what the differentiation is between a username, an email address, password, passcode. The security number is a number that you make up, you type it in, and that is a number that you use each time. An internet password can be a number or a word. Okay, so the difference between these is that the security number, think of it like a passcode. Now, I'm going to close this screen share, and I'd like you just to have a look at my screen for a second. So have a look at me here. And can you see that? Okay, what's that?
You would have to punch in your passcode to get into your phone.
Right, very good. So be very careful that if you're setting passcodes on any of your devices, that you know what they are. Now, what we do is, Brad, I'm going to get Brad to actually do this. When you start having apps on your devices, for example, if you're using Facebook, if you're using internet banking, if you're using email, if you're using all of those things, if you're learning online, what are you going to have? Number one.
Username.
Beautiful. 2.
Email address.
Beautiful. 3.
Password.
Passcode.
Passcode and password. Oh, it's actually password, passcode. So it's really important that we know those. What we do is sometimes we might have a few of them. Now, if we actually have another look at my device, when I go in, I've had to remember what the passcode is, but just have a little look at all of these things. What are they? Does yours look like that?
They're up.
And no, not so many.
All right, so if I'm actually on a desktop computer, I use a lot of different websites like Facebook. Do I have a username, email address, password? Yeah. Brad, how many have I got?
The last time we checked, it was 80.
Right. Do I remember all of those?
Heck no.
All right. So the reason I'm really dwelling on this is because it's very important when you're doing online learning, or probably another example now is if you want to know where your medical records are, like social, or your superannuation, you have to have a MyGov account. If you lose access to your MyGov account, you may not ever get it back again. So that's one that I'd say, make sure you know what the username, email address that's attached to it, password, passcode is, because you can get caught out. Now, what's going to happen if you lose the login or, details for your online training?
Over. No access.
Right, you're going to lose access to it. What happens if you lose the passcode that gets you onto your device?
You'll have to reset it. Yeah, you'll lose it, the access to the phone.
You lose total access to the phone forever, which means throw it away. It's no good. Very expensive. Okay, what can we do to make sure that all of our passwords, passcodes, log-on details are safe? Write them down in one of these. Okay, this is actually an internet password book for you now, and you can buy them from any newsagent. We actually do sell those, so we've had some students come and pick those up. It's really important that you keep that safe, and I stress that from today forward. Okay, who would like to tell me what the 4 things that we need to remember are? Go on, Adam, I know you want to do it.
Your username.
Jason? Yep.
Your email address.
Yep.
Your password.
Yep.
And your passcode.
Right. Now, each one of these Zoom lessons can be password protected, which means for you to get to my class, you need your username, you need the email address that it's from, and you need that link. Once the classroom opens up, I can set it up to have a passcode, which is another security thing. This is why you need to know that, because depending on who you have your training with, a lot of them are now making sure that they have a passcode for that. Now, you guys had to wait in the waiting room, and connecting was hard enough, wasn't it? Just imagine if you had to throw in a password as well, or passcode. So just to, make it a little bit more confusing. So this is something that we need to do over and over and over and train ourselves. Just like if you were in the army, you would be trained to make your bed, clean your room, do this, do that every day. So it's very important. So if you can get a hold of these, it's really good. It means all your information is safe in one place, and you can just store it on a bookshelf, or under your mattress, or in a safe, or somewhere like that. Because there is absolutely no way I will remember 80 passwords to all of our websites, let alone all of the apps as well. Now, the other thing too is if you get a new phone or new device and you've got to log back into all of your emails, all of your apps, and you forget one, you won't be able to get back in. So that you won't be able to get back into that account at all. Does anybody have any questions? All right, we're going to leave it there for a moment, and we're going to have a little short 10-minute comfort break. So go and have a little bit of a walk around. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. And then when we come back, we're going to...
It is very simple to understand, and it's pretty similar to most Moodles that I've actually had to use as well. So the first thing I always want to go over is the types of browsers, because some Moodles work different in different types of browsers that we have. So we have first Google Chrome. Google Chrome is mainly used on Android. You won't really see it a lot on Apple because it's not the default search engine or browser. And then we have Safari, which is for Apple only. You'll never see Safari on any other device but Apple. That is strictly only Apple. And then Microsoft Edge is mainly Windows for the most part. You won't really see it on Samsung or Android devices because it's mainly for Windows, but there is a similar version of it called Samsung Internet, or just Internet on Android devices, it's a very similar version to it, but it's not the exact version of that because Microsoft Edge is strictly Microsoft. But that logo might be soon outdated because it's starting to bring in a new logo for Microsoft Edge as well. So yeah, Google Chrome is the little rainbow looking circle. Then we have the Safari, which is like always a compass. Microsoft Edge is like an E looking sort of shape. Okay, any questions on that? No? Perfect.
I'll just say I've taken over the chat job. So if you do have any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll answer them this time.
So when you get into a Moodle, it'll always have a front page where you have to either log in or check on updates or something like that. So this is my front page of Upskilled Moodle, and we have our log on button at the top right. So that's the one button that we need to watch for. The rest of it doesn't really matter unless you're very new to the site. Then it has a video just explaining everything about it and saying the acknowledgement of country as well. Next part you'll have to go through is the actual login stage. Now you have a username and a password first, and the username most of the time is usually not even an actual username. Username is actually your email in this case. So in this case, you'll have a username, which is your email, and you'll use that to consistently log in. Then you'll have a password that is set first, but they'll probably make you change it after the fact. So usually you'll just have that remembered in your device or written down so that you don't forget it. It's very important you don't forget that password, because otherwise it's very, very annoying to actually get that password back. It takes a lot of hours probably sitting down with their IT staff trying to get it back. Also, I highlighted cookies must be enabled for your browsers. Most Moodles require that in general, just because that's a default sort of thing that people on Moodles want, so that you can access the actual content. And cookies in general are little files that are on the internet, and when we go to search stuff, it puts it to our IP address. If you don't know what an IP address is, don't worry. It's just the way you get onto the internet as well. So yeah, cookies, very important. Also good to clear your cookies every once in a while so that it doesn't clog up your browsing system as well. So if your computer's a bit slow or you're having trouble on the internet, it might be a case of clearing the cookies as well. Any questions on cookies or username and passwords? No? Perfect. Awesome. On to the next part. Once you've actually logged in, it'll give you this first little dashboard most of the time, and it'll have your course overview, which is in the middle part. Now, the course overview you usually have, if you have 1 course, 2 courses, 3 courses, or multiple courses in there. For me, I have Certificate 3 in Interactive Gaming and Programming Specialization, and it's a custom course because I want specific stuff. So specifically, that is my course, and that's just the guidelines I have to follow through to get to the course. Basically, you would just click on there and it would take you through. Then we have down at the bottom right, there's actually upcoming events. Most Moodles will have, if you have assessment tasks that need to be completed on a certain time, it'll show up there to actually notify you. Also messages, if you get messages from, say you have a trainer that's not a face-to-face trainer, they can actually message you through the Moodle to let you know any upcoming training, whether it's virtual training or little messages to actually help you, any study guides or stuff like that as well. Any questions on that as well? No? Alrighty. Then it will take you to this screen. This screen usually will have all the clusters that you have. So usually you'll have 2 clusters. Usually the 7 and 8 that actually are down there are usually the 1st and 2nd rather than the 7th and 8th, because that's usually the first things you tend to do before you start an actual course as well, so that they can actually assess you on what type of learning you're trying to do. So they'll also have in this little area here, the news form, usually a quick tip little thing just to help you get along easier on the Moodle. If you have any questions, usually that's the place to go look for if you're struggling to access the Moodle. And then a Facebook group. Most Moodles will probably have a Facebook group if they're a lot more further along. And that's a good place to really help bounce ideas off other students as well. Yeah, any questions on that?
I can actually just say something there with regards to Facebook. Facebook seems to be a very large area for students to hang out. I know that HSC students had HSC students all over Australia come together to talk about the HSC and, from all over New South Wales in one Facebook page. I'm going to pop our Facebook page, which we can bring students into as well. So we do have our Moodle and we also have our own Facebook student chat. So if you'd like to join us there, you can as well. So I'll just pop that in there. Thank you, Brad.
No worries. All right, thanks, Trish. All righty, on to the next one. Now, I've opened up the first, which is, this one is the pre-course requisites. Usually you have to do something like really simple, like the language literacy and numeracy quiz, just for, if you have an online trainer, it can assess anything that you're doing. So that's just to assess how much training you need. If you need more help in language, or if you need more help in literacy or numeracy, that can help out. Especially with IT, it's a bit different because they need those specific things. But if it's for testing instruction, it might be something a lot different as well, just to assess that point. Also, most of the newer Moodles I see always have an RPL part as well. So if you have done former training as well, you can actually put them in there. Or if it doesn't, it's probably good to email a trainer to let them know that you have done that, so that you can be recognized as having prior learning and you don't have to do it over and over again. Any questions on that as well? No? All right. Now, this is the main first cluster that I did as well. It basically had up the top here, our learning objectives and a study guide. So our learning objectives basically went through saying you have to complete this amount of tasks on a certain time, and you have to do this amount of assessments on a certain time. Now, this first part, the workplace communication part, was all my learning materials I had to go through. It had all the times of how long it was recommended to take on it, whether watching it or doing little quizzes as well through them as well. So, or reading is another thing as well. And you'll notice that from the assessments part and the learning materials part, the ticks are different colors. So with the assessment part, it'll usually be an upload, so that you'll usually upload an assessment task that you are asked to do, and it'll usually be either a little loading icon or a little like grayed out box. That's just a pending icon is what we call it. So it's waiting for your trainer to actually assess you and then give you a mark on that. And then once they've marked it, it'll usually go green or whatever color they have set as well. Okay. Any questions on that as well? And that's pretty much it. That's what I have. So I'm going to chuck it back to Trish with the handy dandy host controls.
Well, thank you there.
Thank you everyone for putting
Can
up with me.
everybody hear me okay now? All right, are there any questions that relate to the Moodle or files or those sorts of things at this point? Okay, great, that's good. So it's clear as mud, everyone? Yeah, thumbs up, all agree? Fantastic. Okay, so just to go over that, those 4 things are really important that we remember those for everything, because if we forget those, we can really put ourselves in a position where we just get locked out of everything, and especially those devices. So when we're teaching people literally to buy a new device and set it up, we go right through that. So usually at work or when you're, you know, allocated something, it's done for you. But if you've got your own device, you really do need to know what's happening. You need to know those private questions, the PIN numbers and everything that's being set up for you. We see it happen all the time. People get locked out of their devices or their rooms or their chats or their groups. And it can be very difficult, if sometimes impossible, to get back into devices. So they can be completely useless. Very expensive thing to do. Okay. From here, we've had a look at 2 different Moodles. And if everybody would just drop one of those 4 items for me into the chat. So one of those really important things that we need to remember, just pop that into the chat so that we're all on the same page and we all know what they are. Now from here, I'm going to go over again to my share screen. And this time we're going to have a look at another learning platform. So this one is owned by Microsoft, and this is the one that you will be using as you go. So Brad, if you can just have a look at what's coming in through the chat there.
Mm-hmm. Email, username, passcode. There's one more. Another passcode.
Great.
Password. Perfect.
Okay. let me know what you can see on screen. Can you now see the full PowerPoint presentation? Thumbs up? Yep, so if it says using Microsoft Teams, we're in the right place. There's no other things hanging off the side. Looks better? Excellent, okay, that's good. All right, so like Zoom, Zoom's a program that we're using today, so it's a brand, just like Nike versus Reebok. We're using Zoom because that's the one that we choose to use. For our Moodle, we're using a different one because that's the one that we like and we've used and set up. So it just comes down to personal preference. Just like for you, if you drive a Holden or a Ford, which one is better? You know, it's personal preference. So from here now, we're moving from the Moodle onto the other team viewer. So, sorry, the actual other platform called Microsoft Teams. So this is the icon. And if you have this on your device, your app will look similar to this. You still, in this instance, don't need to actually have the app until you want to actually use it. So I'm going to go across to the next page here. And what happens is when you are invited to a class, your training provider, whether it's TAFE, whether it's us or another, what we call RTO, a training organisation, they will send you the access to that. You'll need to set up for a portal your username, email address and password to be able to access some of your online studies. With Microsoft Teams, it's the same sort of thing, but what we've done here in this instance is set it up so that it's got an invitation to say join this meeting. These invitations are called links. And these links, one thing we need to make sure of is that these links are safe. So at the moment, there's a lot of scams going around. Does everybody know what a scam is? Yep, so scams, there's a lot of scams going around at the moment with fake tax emails that are going out. One that came through yesterday was from Origin Energy. So if you're with Origin Energy and you're paying your electricity bill with them, be very careful. Make sure you read it properly because there's a huge scam going on. They've got a link, okay, and that's why we're talking about links, that links out to somewhere else, and you're literally paying somebody else where the link to Origin Energy looks very similar, but it's not. So it's sending your money, and it can be a lot of money, to somewhere where it shouldn't be going. So anything like that, anything that's coming from the tax department, make sure you be very aware that you check it. This link here, is it a trusted link? So thumbs up if it's a trusted link. James, can you unmute yourself for a moment?
Yep.
James, I've used this link for a very specific reason. Can you tell me why?
The Microsoft Teams link.
Yeah, but where's it coming from?
This one is coming from Kerry.
Right, so I'm using this to show you that this is coming from a trusted source. So are we going to click on this link?
Yes.
Right, so because we know where it's coming from, we can click on it. If we don't know where it's coming from or it looks a bit dodgy, just don't delete it. Particularly with any of these types of links, because they can take you off to many different places. And sometimes those places aren't fun. So that's number one, be careful that, so I'd like you to write another list. Number one is make sure the links are coming from trusted sites. Number two is when you're going to have a look at your portal, you'll notice that it's got Microsoft Teams here. And what we have to be very aware of is that it looks like it's coming from Microsoft. So when you get that link and you get to this place here, your link that you click on gives you an option that says open the Microsoft Teams portal. Is that what we want to do? Yeah, it is. So thumbs up, that's exactly what we want to do. What you will notice here, I'm looking at the web version of it. It's not an app. So this is coming from a desktop computer, not from your device or your phone. So notice here it says download the Windows app or join on the web instead. So depending on what device you're on, we would either choose the app and download the app. And I believe that you already have the app for Teams on your devices. So you know that that's there, it's been trusted software, so it's okay. So from there, we click on open the Microsoft Teams app, and then you'll see here that it's got an option that says join on the web instead. So if you're not really sure and you don't have the app on your device, so say that you came in today and we were using Teams, and some of you had difficulty getting the link from your email to work. Your link generally from your email will go directly to the internet. And if the app is there, it may directly go to the app. So keep in mind, so number 3 is that the web and the app are two different things. So if you're using a device, whether it's a phone or a tablet, you'll be using an app. And if you're using a desktop computer like Charlie, you'll be using a website. They both do the same thing, but they do it a little bit differently. So in this instance, we can either go download the Windows app on a device. Yours is already there, so you don't need to do it, and it will automatically open up there. If we haven't got TeamViewer at all, Microsoft Teams at all, or in our case, Zoom, all you need to do is join on the web, and we click on that, and it will take you to this screen here. So for some of you who've already seen this, you'll actually notice that it's got all of these parts. Everything I do is broken down into 4 parts, isn't it? So number 4 is making sure you get the join meeting screen here. So that's number 4, is check where you're joining the meeting. And then a new set, you don't need to write these down. You actually have got a handout that's come through for you to be able to access this in a paper format. So all of these instructions. So you don't need to write this bit down unless, of course, you want to. My personal advice is write it down, because when you write it down, you're putting it into your own words and it helps you to remember it. But if you don't want to, you don't need to. So number 1 is to enter your name in. So just using the keyboard on your device, just click in there and type in your first name. You don't have to put your whole name in. And then here, this bit here is slide to choose. So where we've actually got the video camera button, this is a slide. So where we've got the slider there, we've actually just click on that. And if you're on your tablet, you can press and drag. So press very gently and drag across. That will turn that on so that it looks like this one. So this one here is going in with the video off and the audio on. So we can choose to slide which way we want to go in. Now, you've probably seen, if you're on Facebook or you've been watching the news, everybody's Zooming. Everybody's on Zoom, the schools are using Zoom, but we have to be very careful that we are not doing things or have people in the background doing things. So if you have seen the news lately, you probably will have noticed that they've actually caught people out going to the bathroom, or people have been folding washing or making noise or saying things in the background. So make sure when you're going in first off that you've got your video camera off and your audio off, so that once you go into the classroom, it's actually not going to embarrass you. So just write that down, that's really important. Then once you've got all your details in and you're entering the right way, you click on Join Now, and that will take you to this screen here. So on Zoom, when we had that little round circle spinning and it was saying connecting, 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 that's what this is doing here. So it's saying that someone in the meeting will let you in soon. So you're in, you're connected, but you don't need to do anything else. This area here is called the waiting room. So like with Zoom, we had the same. We click on the waiting room and that takes us to this space here until the host lets you in, or until the trainer or meeting or presenter lets you in. Okay, and then when we're inside our live meeting, this is our training room. So it looks a little bit different to ours. So it's basically got a black screen, whereas ours had a white. And you can see there that we've got the live training room. And anything to do with Zoom or MS Teams is always live. So it enables us to interact in a live online virtual session. And we can also record any of these sessions and use them as a training tool. So here you'll notice that we've got the live training room now open in Microsoft Teams, and I'm your host or trainer. And down here we've got the student. So in this instance, we've only got one student there just to make it really simple, and that's the trainee. Whereas Brad in our situation here, he is the co-host, and then I made him host, so that's why it changed over to him. We can have up to 3 different hosts and co-hosts in any one session. Notice that down the bottom, we've got all of this stuff here. It's very similar to what we have in Zoom. So it's a toolbar down there on the bottom. And I'll just move that out of the way for a second. And you'll notice that down the side here, you've got notification buttons. Now, the thing with this, Microsoft Teams is very similar to My Moodle. If you had a quick look at the left-hand side of My Moodle, it actually came up with all of these options here. So these just show us our teams, our groups. We can call somebody. So if you're using this portal and you want to phone somebody, you can phone them from here as well. So down the bottom, we've got the toolbar, and I'll just change over to the next screen. Okay, and somebody's been trying to get into the room. So if you've got any questions, just drop those questions in the chat. And down here, it will tell you how long the meeting has been going for. And you've got your video option there, so you can turn your video on, turn your video off, and then your sound. So if you do forget, you can do that when you come in. And the share button that was green in Zoom is the same here, but it's clear. Then what we like to call the but wait, there's more button. Wherever you see arrows pointing to the left or right or down, up and down, or 3 dots, that always means there's more information. So if we were to click on that, it's going to give us the more options, and there'll be all of your setting options in there and how you want to run these meetings and how you want to be part of it. Then we've got the chat button, so it's there, but it's slightly different. And then this one here is everybody else in the meeting. At any time, if we want to end the meeting, we can click on the red button there, and that will take us out. Okay, so what can you tell me about that online meeting as opposed to this one? Would anybody like to comment? Dylan? Hello? You don't want to say anything? Okay, so the difference with this one, and so Zoom, and the other one is you can only see 4 faces at a time. Here, again, we can see how many.
To 100.
100.
100. So we can have up to 100 people on here, and we can see them all. And what happens, depending on the way that we view it, we can have it set up to show 25 people, 50 people, 2 people at a time, 10 people, but up to 100 people at a time. Okay, that is how Zoom works and how Microsoft Team Viewer works, or Microsoft Teams works. What would you like to say about that from the session that we've had so far? Is that helping you to become more familiar with the platform and the environment? Yep. Okay. Thanks, Jason. Big thumbs up there. Did anybody else want to comment on that? Thank you, Jessie. That is excellent. Okay. Now I'll switch the screen over again. If you've got any questions, don't forget you've got the chat there. You can jump back in there. So I'm going to now go over and go back over some of the things that I mentioned about the files, because the file types are very important. Just let me know when you can see my screen. And we should have a nice big fluffy cloud. So thumbs up if you can see the cloud. Excellent. And should now be able to see, Carlo, can you see a full screen of this cloud?
Yep.
Excellent. Good. All right. So we're now seeing the full screen of the cloud. So the cloud, remember, is literally just like a storage place. So if you, I think it might have been Charlie who asked a question. Charlie, can you unmute yourself for a moment? So in the chat, you wrote a question about how do you delete files from the cloud? Is that right?
That was Dylan.
That was Dylan. Dylan,
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? What's happening? So don't forget to unmute yourself.
It's more on the Wi-Fi.
Okay, so we've got a bit of background feed there. Can anybody else tell me how?
Hey, Tracy, I can get Dylan to ask through my computer.
Okay, that's why we're getting the feedback. Are you guys next to each other?
Well, we're not far away yet.
Yeah, that's why there's feedback, because you're very close.
Here's Dylan now, anyhow. He'll ask his question.
Excellent. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Charlie.
It's more for like the iPhone saying like that the cloud's full.
Right.
So I was just wanting to know how you actually get onto your cloud and delete images and whatnot off the cloud so it's not so full.
That's a really good question. So what happens is, who owns your phone, your Apple phone?
Apple.
Right. So will ever Apple own that, and they always will. So they just provide you with that, and they say, okay, you buy this phone, we're going to give you this amount of space to store your information in. And that's exactly what they do. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, is it 5 gigabytes?
Yep.
5 gigabytes of storage space. Now, let's break that down really easy. That is either 5,000 photos or 5 movies. So if you've got video in there, it's going to take up a lot more room. So what's happening is iCloud is saying you've got so many photos in there now, that 5 gigabytes of space is full. What you need to do is go in there. So what you need to know is how to get to that. We can't actually go into that here because it's on an Apple, it's a completely different system. But what you need to do is make sure you know what your username, email address, password is so that you can get in there. Once you get in there, like you can also on an Android, is you can go in and start removing things. Otherwise, what we do is, because we use, as the Tec Exec, the cloud always. So once we finish a training session, we actually upload it to the cloud. So we've got our own holding space. So our cloud started off quite small, and now our cloud is massive. So over 10 years, we put all of this information up there in this storage space. Just think of it like an actual online filing cabinet. At the end of financial year, we have to go through there and clean everything out that's not needed. And I think what the issue is here with the iPhones is it's hidden. You don't even know where it is. You might stumble across it on an Android, but on an Apple computer, it's a lot harder. So that's a really good question, and I can't answer that at this time, because you can do it, you can delete it, but you need to find the steps to get you there.
Can I answer that, Trish?
Pardon?
Can I answer that question?
Through settings?
Yeah, I know how to do it.
Yeah, but we don't
iPhone-
have time really to go into an Apple session at this point in time.
Okay.
So, but thank you, Brad. So that all depends on the actual agreement, or usually with your iCloud, you've only got about 5 gigabytes of space. Now, it sounds like a lot if you know anything about storage space, but we're talking about a mini in a garage that should contain a Cadillac. So that's what that means. We've got storage space for a mini when we need storage space for a Cadillac. Thumbs up if that makes sense. Beautiful. Okay, if not, we always advise people to do courses, particularly now in admin skills, because everybody needs them. And it's really important, as anybody who owns any device, regardless of what it is, that you know how to get to those items and remove them or add to them if need be. Okay, this should look a little bit like your device. And on your device, you've got all of these things here. Who can tell me what all these things are? Okay, Jesse, what are all these things here?
Applications.
They're actually called applications, that's right. So applications, we now call them apps. This is a short way, but back in the olden days, they used to be called software applications. Now they've shortened it, and all of these little apps do certain things. Difference between an app and a computer program is a computer program might do a lot of things, and an app will usually only do one. Okay, so it's important to know that as well. So down here on your device, you've got all of these. So we've got a little calculator, we've got Samsung Notes, we've got the clock, and we've got the Galaxy Store. Is this one here important, the Play Store?
Yes.
Okay, so if I said to you, I would like you to download a specific app called Netflix. Does everybody know what Netflix is?
No, no.
So if you want to download Netflix, you would need to go to this shop. So just like if I want to go to Kmart and buy a video, I would go there, purchase it, bring it home, watch it. There's not really a lot of difference between actually going to the store and buying something physically, like going to Kmart or Bunnings, as opposed to going to the store online and downloading an app. Now, what we need to also really be aware of is that downloading is the process of taking from the internet and bringing it down to your computer. And the process of uploading is where you've got something on your device or computer and you're taking it and sending it to the internet or via email. So very important that we understand the difference. Now, Netflix is probably a really good example, because Netflix, when you're watching a movie on Netflix, if you don't know what Netflix is, it is a movie application. So it's like going to the video store. So if we wanted to watch a movie back in the olden days, we'd have to go off to the video store, rent a CD or a DVD, bring it back, pop it into our TV, into the DVD player and watch it. If we wanted to watch something online, we would literally have to bring it from the internet down to our computer to be able to watch it. Nowadays, we don't do that at all. Can anybody tell me, or drop it in the chat and tell me, and Brad can clarify what we do now? So we're not literally watching TV, we're not listening to the radio as such. What are we doing?
Streaming.
Okay, is that you, James?
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're streaming. So what's the difference between streaming and downloading?
You don't physically get a downloaded file at the end of it.
Right, so when you're physically downloading it, you're bringing it down and it's taking space up on your computer. Whereas when you're streaming it, you're watching it live, but it doesn't actually ever come down onto your device. So thumbs up if you guys understand that. Now, the reason I'm using this as an example is because when you're on the Moodle, you would have seen on the Tec Exec Moodle, we had a video there. whilever you're on the Moodle, you can click to watch the video and you'll watch it, but you won't download it to the computer. If you do need something, for example, an online file, you need to know how to bring it from the Moodle or from your email down to the device so that you can keep it there. Okay, so the Play Store is just like going to the shop. Then we've got all of our Google apps here. So if anybody's got a Gmail account, you'll know what those Google apps are. So Gmail is your email, free personal email there. Then we've got this one here, and this is a little storage app. And the storage app is really good because the storage app is one that I really would like you guys to draw. Now, if you can have a look at the storage app, you'll see that it looks like something that you'll see in a filing cabinet, like a little manila folder. So this is on your device. So whether you're using your work one or your smartphone, where you store all of your information. Now, if you're using iCloud, you're literally using what looks like a folder like that as well to store all of your information. So that's a good one to really become familiar with. So draw that on your piece of paper and pop it in and just say, that's a really important one. And that one there is where all of your information gets stored when you download it. Okay, so when you bring it from the internet down. Okay, so we've got Kerry up again. So Kerry sent me an email that gave me a file. And these files are, Jessie, can you tell me what these files are actually called in an email? So anything
PDF,
that
sorry.
is with an email is called an
PDF
attachment.
attachment. Yeah.
Okay, so on this particular email, I've got 2 attachments and they are both PDFs. Very good. So what does PDF stand for again?
Portable. Definitely testing me.
I know,
Can I Google?
do that. Portable document file. Now, the name of it isn't really that important, I suppose, but the function of it is. So a PDF or portable document file means it will open up on any device. So if we had a DOC file or a doc or a JPEG or a Microsoft spreadsheet, if we don't have the software or the apps paid for on the device, we won't be able to open them up. So PDFs are a way that we can send information that can be opened up on anything. So they're really, all they are is a standard file. Thanks for that. That's really good. All right. So from there now, you can see that I want to bring that file down into the system. Now, for the moment here, I'm going to stop the share because I've just let somebody else back into the classroom and it stopped the share from working. But it's really important that you understand that when you have files, you should understand what they are. So if you want to bring in a JPEG file, or you've got an attachment that is a JPEG, what is it? So if I say to you, I've sent you this JPEG, what are you going to do with it? Why is it important to know what that is?
It's an image.
Right, that's 100% spot on. What is a PNG? It's
Isn't
another
multiple
type
images?
of image, but it's transparent. Okay, so a normal photo will have a background, but a PNG can be a brand like the Tec Exec. See how there's no like white space in the background? It's just the logo. So that's a good example of a PNG. So it's transparent. It doesn't print white. It just prints the actual image, not the background. So that is really important. Now, okay, so I've got Jeremy saying he has to go. Is everybody else okay? Yep. All right. So I'm just going to mute myself for 1 second. And I haven't gone over time, have I? I have. Okay. I will be very fast. So, Adam, can you unmute yourself for a second?
Yes.
What time were you expecting to leave?
Oh, mate, whenever the session was finished, to be honest, but I think the email said 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay, because I had you down till 4.
Oh, okay. You know, that's okay. I don't mind. I'm at home, so I'm all good.
Okay, if you guys have to go, I'm very sorry. I had you down till 4. So we're almost there, but it's very important. Are you finding this interesting as far as being able to help you with your online learning? If so, thumbs up. Yep, excellent. Okay, that's really good. Thanks for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Okay, so when you're downloading, I'm now going to go back and share back to that PowerPoint presentation. And you'll actually see that we've got our email that came in from Kerry. And can everyone see that? You can see the email again. And we've now got the PDF file. So from there, when we want this, we have to click on it and tell the computer or the device to download it. So when we're looking at it, if we just click on it, it will allow you to view it. But if you want to bring a copy down, we need to download it. So if you're on a Moodle and they've given you a task to do or fill out a document, you need to bring the document down, fill it out, and then send it back up. Now, we've actually just done that with a whole lot of other students who we've enrolled for a Certificate 4 course. And in the Certificate 4 course, they needed to do enrollment forms, they do the forms, sign-off forms. So we actually sent them out, got them to download them, sign them, and then bring them back up again. But all of that can be done live now. So there's all of these other things that you will see happening with the technology and how clever it is. Okay, once you click on download, it'll ask you what type of file do you want it to be. So here we've got 3 options, and these are the exact options you'll have on your work tablet. So you've got Drive, PDF Viewer, you've got OneDrive, PDF Viewer, or Office. On your device, unless you have got Adobe there as an app, this is what you use. So you click on that and you tell it to always do it, or you tell it just once. If you've got Adobe PDF Reader, I don't know if you guys know that, thumbs up if you do, you may have seen it. Yeah, if not, don't worry. But this here will enable you to download so that you can see and use and keep any files. So that file that we wanted, we told it to open it, we told it to open it once, and that will come up. But this PDF is a portable document file, and you'll actually see that's what it looks like. Whereas if we're using it from the cloud, it wants to open it in a completely different place. So it's good to get your head around where you want these to come from. And it all depends on your device. So here now, we've actually opened it. I clicked on it. We're now looking at that document. And this is one that we prepared. Are you still here, Carrie?
Yes, I am.
Hello. Do you remember?
Hello.
Do you remember this document?
Yes, I do.
Okay, fabulous. So we're actually now viewing it. Once we're viewing it and looking at it, we can look at it to our heart's content. But once we close it, it's gone. From here, what we want to do is be able to bring it down onto the device so that we can keep it and use it as a reference. Once we do that, you'll notice once we click download and use the PDF viewer, it comes up and shows us what the document looks like. That's why it's familiar. So in the corner here, we've got the 3 dots. And remember what I said about 3 dots. Wherever there are 3 dots, it means, who can tell me? Drop it in the chat. What does 3 dots mean? So arrow pointing left, arrow pointing right, up or down. What do they mean? Any ideas? Got any answers there, Brad?
Not yet.
Okay. The 3 dots means, but wait, there's more. Okay. Wherever there are 3 dots, there's more information. most people don't ever notice those 3 dots. So to be able to get it to do what you want it to do, that's one button or feature that we need to know, and it's all over the internet. You'll see it in so many different places. So it's the third one across, it's 3 dots, we click on it. Once we click on it, it opens up, and these are the options that you're going to get. So we've got send file, we've got open with, we've got download, we can print it out, and we can give feedback to Google. In this instance, we want to click on download, and that's then the process of bringing it from the Moodle down to your computer, or from the email and bring it down as an attachment onto your computer. And once it's there, you can see it and open it and use it over and over again. Now, once we've got it downloaded, this is what happens the majority of the time. And just from past experience, we know that people have difficulty finding information once it's downloaded, particularly on a desktop computer. Has anybody had that experience before? Okay, yeah, I gave you a document, but where did it go? On your device, this file here that I told you about, the little yellow folder, is really important. So once you find it and click on it, it will open up and it will look like this, what we have here on the left-hand side. So if you have a look there on the left-hand side, that's that yellow folder that I said before was really important, and it's got images, videos, audio, documents, downloads. Which one are we going to choose? Any clue?
Downloads?
Okay, I gave you a clue, didn't I? Look. So we've got downloads circled over at the right-hand side. So what I've done here is just printed out, or placed in here, 2 shots of the same place. On the right-hand side, I've just slightly magnified it a little bit, and on the left, it's not showing anything. So from the left, you can actually see we've got recent files, images, videos, and until you click on downloads, you won't see anything. Once you click on downloads, you'll actually be able to see that you've got a file there. What's the name of the file? I was getting a bit tricky there, wasn't I? Did we see it? Okay, so it's actually Teams for Students Guide PDF. So this PDF here is one that Kerry sent through to me so we could have a look at it, to give you step-by-step instruction on how to go into the Teams online training portal for a meeting, and then you've got that there as a resource. So we need to make sure that we download it to the computer. Okay, that's it for today's session. What I'd like to do is just go through some really important things. So those 4 things, would anybody like to unmute themselves and tell me overall, out of everything that we've spoken about today, there are 4 things that I said were really important for you not to forget?
I'll be the class guru.
Yes.
Username, email address, your password, and your passcode.
Oh, that is fabulous. So if we lose or forget any single one of those, we can be in trouble. Well done, Adam. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, would anybody else like to, Kerry, have you got your hand up, or do you have a question?
That was a clap.
No, I was just clapping.
I was just checking, because some people don't know all the time that that's a clap. I think it might be the hands up. Thank you. So now what I'd like to do is just go through, I said I do things in 4s. So there's a second list of other 4s that I said that were important. Can you tell me what they were?
JPG,
Yes.
PDF.
Yes.
What's the other ones? Doc X.
EOC.
Right, so Word documents. Yeah. So the different file types, so PNG, PDF, Word file, so DOCX, XLS for Excel spreadsheet, but we need to make sure that we've got the actual software there to be able to open them up. The solution, if we don't, is what? The PDF. So the PDF enables us to open it regardless. So when we're sending information out to our students, 99% of the time we'll send them out in a PDF format so that they can open it from any device. What I'd like to do now is just say thank you very much. Thank you so much for putting up with Brad and I today. What are the two different systems we use today for training? Can anyone tell me?